of you who have paid attention to the podcast, you've heard me talk about the Jets and the Islanders. And many of us had a chance, many of you had a chance to witness what it's like to be a Jets fan. If you were watching the game on Monday night, I didn't even have the game on. I hadn't turned it on yet. I was working out, wasn't paying attention to time, and then my phone started blowing up. And one of the text messages was "birthday ruined." My son turned 21 on Monday, and it was ruined by what? And it was Aaron Rodgers blowing his Achilles. And stuff happens. This is one of the coolest things about sports and competition. One of the reasons why I love the game of golf. You put yourself in the best position to be successful. You do all of the work. You do everything that you can, and then life happens. Work happens. Things happen outside of your control. I know this comes from Stoic philosophy, or its origins in Stoicism. Control the controllables. There's a lot of stuff that's outside of our control. There's a lot of stuff that's inside of our control. What are two things that are absolutely inside our control? Our attitude and our effort. Our attitude. How do we show up? What's our mindset? What perspective do we take as we go into any challenge, any situation where there's a bit of adversity? How do we show up? Our effort. What level of preparation did we put in place to get ourselves in the best position to succeed? What about when we're in the moment? Are we doing our jobs? Are we staying focused? Are we doing the one thing that we're responsible for at that particular moment in time? I've been reflecting on this a lot lately. I've had a rough week kind of going through this. And the rough week was triggered by a couple of different conversations I had with some folks, both last week and into this week, where clarity on ideal customer profile is not as clear as I think it is inside my head. So I've been asking myself the question, am I coming to the discussion with the right attitude? And am I putting in the effort necessary to do the things that I know are possible relative to the business? And if I'm honest with myself, I've not. I've not been coming in. I've come in with the right attitude. I'm a positive person. It's all of we'll go through a lot of the stuff that I talk about. Begin with the end in mind. Design backward. Execute forward. Control the controllables. Right mindset as it relates to learning. Right mindset as it relates to level of work, level of effort that you put in. But was I really being honest with myself on the attitude of relative to who I'm interested in serving and who I'm focused on serving? How do I how do I make sure that the content that we're putting out there is relevant to the people who are listening to it, relevant and relatable to the people who are listening to it? And then from an effort perspective, what am I doing to continuously improve? How am I thinking differently about things like thumbnails? What am I doing relative to titles? Do I really need to go through the process of scripting, even though I have avoided it for so long? And these are questions that I'm reflecting on right now as I build out different aspects of the business. And then on Monday, excited to watch a game and didn't even turn it on early enough. One, to see Rodgers run through the tunnel and out with the flag, but to play the 75 seconds of Jets football that he played. And as a Jets fan, I've been through this a number of different times. We, as Jet fans, have been through this a number of different times. Whether it was Freeman McNeil getting injured, or it was Gastineau taking a bad penalty, or the battles between Kenny O'Brien and Dan Marino, and the Jets picking O'Brien over Marino, and O'Brien playing some of his best games when he had a chance to play against Marino. I've been through Richard Todd. I've been through Pat Ryan, Kenny O'Brien, Mark Sanchez, Mark Brunell, Vinny Testaverde, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers for a little bit, Zach Wilson. And one thing that is clear about the Jets as an organization is we do not know. I say we because I'm a fan. I've been a fan since I was a kid. We used to go to see games back when they were at Shea Stadium. We, as Jet fans, know what it's like to deal with the suckiness of a team, having the belief of being cursed. Well, Sala has demonstrated what happens when you bring amazing leadership into an organization, how quickly the culture can change. Culture is inside your control. Culture will either happen organically or by design. And you can design for it to happen organically in the way that you want it to. What do I mean by that? Well, what if you empower your teams to get better at problem solving and decision making? What if you improve communication inside your group? What if you are clear on expectations that everybody has? Everybody knows what their role is and knows how that role fits into the success of the organization. That's how you build a strong culture from within. It starts at the front line. Yet we as leaders tend to screw this up. And we come in and we talk about the way that we did it. We don't bring people together. We don't develop leaders. And then we ask ourselves the question, why are we not delivering on the things that we want to deliver on? Why are we not achieving the results we want to achieve? And if you take the time and look in a mirror, and leadership, from my perspective, starts with a mirror. If you're looking for leadership, start with a mirror. We look into that mirror and we reflect. We look back at that reflection and we observe, where are our weaknesses? Where are our opportunities? Do that SWOT analysis. Where are our strengths? What are our threats? How can we address those as a team? Because we are smarter than me. And I know I'm rattling off a couple of titles to different books that are out there. And in the spirit of the Marie Antoinette quote, there's nothing new except what has been forgotten. I think we've got an opportunity to go back out there and really look at it and say, if my organization, if the organization that I'm a part of is not achieving the results that we have set out as our objective, well, let's ask some deep questions. Let's first ask what, like, have we actually defined what those results are? And do we agree as a team on what those objectives are? I've been inside organizations where there's been a disconnect on the objective, where products had a certain set of objectives and sales has had a certain set of objectives, and those have not necessarily aligned with each other, which sounds crazy, but it happens. And it continues to happen inside organizations today. There are groups, there are organizations out there where we build out our silos, build out empires, build bigger walls in between us. And then we expect our teams to feel like they're part of a team, feel like they're part of a team of teams inside an organization. So if you're not achieving the results that you're looking for in your business as a leader, look in the mirror, ask some deep questions. Are we aligned on our definition of what the goal is? Are we aligned from a board perspective? Are we aligned from an investor perspective? Are we aligned from a senior leadership perspective? Are we aligned at the next level of reports? If we're not aligned, it's going to be really hard for you to achieve the results you're looking for. Once you get past that are we aligned piece, which is really hard, sounds simple, but it's hard. It doesn't need to be complex. We should be aligned on our mission, our values, our objectives, the things that we're working toward. Once we've agreed and we're aligned, then we can move to the point of starting to say, okay, well, what's our strategy? How are we going to go about achieving the thing that we want to achieve? So we have a goal, an objective that we're aligned on, and then when we identify our strategy, the how we're going to go about it. And if you find that you have more than 3 strategies inside your business, you're probably going to screw things up. It's really hard for organizations to recall or remember or make sure that there's a high level of alignment throughout that entire team structure if we're chasing more than 3 things. I actually bring it back to 1. I think in, what was it, City Slickers, and the main ranch character had the one finger up, one thing. It comes down to one thing. So if you're struggling doing 10 things, get back to one. If you're doing one thing really well, then let's advance to the point where we can have a kind of a three-pronged approach to do things. And the reason why I like the three-pronged approach, rule of three, is it reduces risk. Rather than having to guess or take too big of a bet, I'm focused on one strategy. I have three potential paths to getting to whatever the objective is that we're working toward. And then once we've identified those strategies, let's nest the tactics, bolt on the tactics to the strategies. And this will look and feel a lot like the game plan. And that's what it is. It's to you use the game plan, building out go-to-market strategy and tactics in achieving results from an individual level, from a team level, from an organization level. So it's the same kind of structure, and everything just kind of comes together and is nested together so that we have clear alignment inside our organizations. These are all the things that are inside our control. Here's something that's not. Once you start doing the work, once you start actually doing the work, executing on those tactics, the results are actually outside of your control unless you happen to be buying from yourself. So let's say you're a managed service where you're selling your service out to somebody else inside the organization, then you might have a little bit more control over that kind of a thing. You're just moving money around the organization. And I know that's an oversimplification, but I can have the best strategy in the world relative to breaking 80. I can go out there and execute from a tactical perspective, meaning I do my pre-shot routine, set up my alignment well, clear my mind when I'm going through the swing. I take the swing. Once I make impact and that ball leaves the club face, it's outside of my control. Those results are completely outside of my control. You got to give your team the flexibility. Let your team know that you understand what things are outside of their control. And if you struggle with figuring out what those things are, help them, guide them, help them lead themselves as they go through it. So this started with a discussion around adversity. It went into identifying those things that are inside of our control: attitude, effort, mentally, how we show up, effort, how we prepare and how we do the work when we're in the moment, what we do when things get hard, comfort with letting go while we execute on that plan. Because sometimes, if it was all as simple as just saying, okay, here's the work that we're going to do, go out there and do the work, and then everything just works, meaning wash, rinse, repeat, you probably wouldn't get paid what you do inside your organization. You're paid for your creativity. You're paid for your ability to problem solve. You're paid for your ability to think differently. You're paid for the way that you engage and adapt in the environment that you're in. You're paid for the stuff that happens right in between your two ears. So we go out there, we have the right attitude, we give the right effort, we can control the controllables, we let go of those things that are outside of our control. And we get really comfortable with when things don't work out, compartmentalizing and moving forward, because the game doesn't stop. The game didn't stop for the Jets on Monday night. The game didn't stop for that defense. The game did not stop for Zach Wilson. The game didn't even stop when he threw a really rough interception in the first half. The team rallied behind him. The team came together. An undrafted rookie won the game on a punt return. I'm excited about watching this team this year. Why? Because with Robert Saleh's leadership and a number of the players that they brought into the organization, the culture has changed. There is no quit in this team. This team just keeps going, and they will outwork you. From a talent perspective, I'm scared. I hope Zach makes better decisions. Will's been on the podcast. We were texting back and forth. He said, great arm talent, not so hot on the decision making. So we'll see what happens. But all of this stuff applies to the work that we do. When you are, I guess, to close things out, if you're in a situation and you're not achieving the results that you want, check two things first: attitude and effort. Are you bringing the right attitude? Are you delivering the right effort? If you're doing each of those things, continue to keep moving forward. You may want to revisit the tactics, the work that you're doing, because the work may just not be working. You may want to revisit your strategy. Maybe there's another way, there's another approach. You want to place some other bets. You may want to reevaluate the goal. Maybe the goal is not the right goal. Maybe somebody just pulled a number out of the air. Control what you can control. Attitude, effort, assessment of the doing the work, assessment of the data, and then ultimately influencing the decisions that are made inside the organization. And if you've got a team of people that you're working with where you think they really could benefit from better systems and processes to improve simplifying execution or simplifying problem solving and decision making or simplifying communication, no, you got a guy. And that guy is a little bit down because his team had a rough start to the season. And I've had to go back through and do a bit of reflection on that ICP discussion based on some feedback that I've gotten from some folks. Here's how I would describe my ICP at this point in time. This is a work in progress, and we're testing. If you are out there struggling with achieving the results that you want to, so you're struggling getting to where you want to go, and you are committed to doing the work and figuring it out, not looking for an easy button, a quick fix or a trick that's going to get you there. You're committed to doing the work and figuring it out. It might be for you. At the next level, if you lack systems and process, you might have an appreciation for systems and process, but you don't think of yourself as a systems thinker. You don't think of things in the context of design. I can help you and really work to simplify that piece. I'm actually going to go to the whiteboard here really quick and lay this out. So number one, not achieving the results that you'd like to. So if you're not achieving the results that you'd like to, on this side, you are willing to do the work. You're committed to getting out there, getting after it, and doing the work. Starts to look at like that territory plan. You struggle historically with systems, process, design. Your brain just doesn't work that way. It's not you didn't get excited building Legos, working with Legos or building erector sets or putting together puzzles. So you struggle with the systems and process type stuff. And this is the area we're testing. You happen to be someone who is going through a change that has either been thrust upon you by external circumstances. You might have just been laid off, or you have been moved into a new role. It could be with some kind of change, could be a positive change or a negative change. You've moved into a change and you've got some urgency associated with getting this stuff figured out and getting to your goal here pretty quick. If you fall into that criteria, I've got a program that I can help you with, and I can help you either one-on-one with coaching. You can work directly with the game plan inside the notebook, or if you've got a team, you're starting to think about what 2024 business planning looks like, give me a call. You can find out more information at findmycatalyst.com. If you do not have a football fan, I'm going to invite you to root for the Jets. We need all the help that we can get. Remember, things that are in your control are your attitude and your effort. The things that are outside of your control, you've got to be really comfortable with just letting go, compartmentalizing, and moving on. Don't let the last strike beat you. Don't let the last shot get turned. Don't turn the last bad shot into two really bad shots. Thanks. Hope you have an awesome week. And I'm going to actually cross post this on the podcast feed on Libsyn in addition to what we're doing here on YouTube. So let me know what you think about the video stuff. Thank you.